And yes, Greg, I'm going to go ahead and kind of lead this meeting as a basic 101, as in you really don't know where to go, what to do at all. That still is kind of good as a refresher for anybody who has been a manager before, especially seeing that we have a new system for registrations and carding and things like that. So several of the things are going to look different even to previous team volunteers. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Just kind of a thumbs up, or Christina, has everybody seen a Manager 101 21-22 season kind of just initial screen being shared? No. Greg says no, but Heather says yes. Oh, bummer. Okay. Love it when technology works.
I'm not seeing any sharing at all.
We see not seeing a sharing at all. Okay.
Me either.
Let's stop. And I will redo that. Okay. How are we looking now?
Lisa's back. Unmute yourself, Lisa. There you go. Lisa's
Technology. Back. My goodness gracious, my internet is at like at 1 bar. So, okay, are we seeing a screen share now at least? And it's not just my face. Please tell me yes. Still no?
You want me to try to share it, Lisa, from the folder?
No, it really is just, it's just an agenda, but then I need to share a screen. Okay.
So which file would you like first that are in the Manager 101 file?
Okay, are we seeing Got Sport?
Yes.
Yay, that's what we're gonna do. Okay.
Thumbs up if you're seeing it now.
Yeah,
okay,
we're good.
All right, you're good, Lisa.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna do actually just a real quick introduction. First of all, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lisa MacDonald. I am the admin director of the USYS programs, which basically means that I handle a lot of the odds and ends, registrations, coaches gear, uniform ordering, you name it, it kind of falls under my hat for the area that is just the travel program and the youth academy. I don't handle anything under, shall we say, our elite programs or recreation, although you probably will see me kind of doing some miscellaneous things for them throughout the year. In addition, on this call is also Christina Horde. Christina handles basically anything and everything under the IFJ umbrella, as her title is the business director. She, though, on here will handle everything associated with treasurers. So if you are needing to reach somebody and have a question about your budgets, about per diems, anything that involves the bank account type of things, you're going to go to Christina. If it is anything pretty much about anything else, you're going to come to me. A heads up, we do request, simply because there are so many teams and so many team volunteers, especially this year, that if you're communicating with us, please go ahead when you email us and indicate obviously your name and your team name, please. It just helps us save just a few minutes of our day from trying to look up what team you're with first before we try to get to your request. So today we are gonna, like I said in the beginning, kind of look at everything from a 101 perspective. And we do have a couple of different areas that are new. So we'll touch on those and then allow kind of a manager portion here at the beginning. And then Christina will do stuff for the treasurers. And then we'll move on to a little bit of Q&A. We're going to start with TeamSnap. the club's main communication tool. We're going to look at various websites that you can use as resources for you. We're going to take a very, very minute look at that new wonderful registration area of .sport now. And then we're going to talk events and events check-in. So the very first thing, as I mentioned, is going to be TeamSnap. TeamSnap is that kind of main communication tool. Anything and everything that's in here is for you specifically to communicate with your team, as well as me communicating with you for files and such. So this main page is obviously just going to be kind of a short little overview. And then you have your roster section that's going to list everybody associated with your team. Now, it could mean that you have a few people who have been added here that are training only with you. It could mean that you have a couple people that might be requested to be added because they are going to do an event with you and they need to get communications. And this is going to be really bad because this is going very, very slowly. And then additionally, you're going to have all the contact information for those players, as well as the other team managers and your coaches. So you want to make sure to communicate with your families that all this information is current and up to date and has all the data in there that's needed for communication back and forth. The schedule area then, obviously, it's fairly simple calendar. But this is the information that is a key to your team. So I know a lot of teams in the past, and I've unfortunately been a parent on some of them. When the information isn't corrected here, then everybody's questioning everything. So we ask that managers please try to keep this information as up to date as possible. So right now, you should be having in here your training schedules. You see the training here. I'm going to try to use just a couple different teams information as our examples. So the training schedules in here. If you know what events you're going to be in from those emails that I've sent you or from that data that Tony Jacqueline has sent, please go ahead and put kind of placeholders in, like has been done here, like Pike Fest. We don't know what specific times, fields for that weekend yet, but at least it's a placeholder so family knows that they need to leave those dates kind of open. And then the same thing for here's their other event, Nightmare at the Rock. I did want to go ahead and show you in the beginning of the year, Christina and I get a list from the directors of coaching, and what that includes then is a kind of a listing of everything that they're expecting the teams to participate in. So hopefully it switched over that share of my screen to a spreadsheet. This is the information that we get that basically says, okay, so here are the youth academy teams. Here's the leagues that we expect them to play in. Here's the events that we expect to play in. And then I am the one who typically then will go ahead and register for the league events. And then this year, we're going to go ahead and continue the same thing that we did last year because of that kind of COVID thing. We want to kind of have a little bit of control over refunds and things like that if that happens. And then I'm going to go ahead and register for teams for their events as well. So I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of how that comes about, how we turn that information over to you. And then forward on that information. from the DOC. So we're not just picking stuff out of the hat. The DOCs work with their coaches and figure out what events and such are going to be best for each team. It doesn't mean that information won't change or can't change, but managers typically will just take that information and go with that. If you and the coach have other plans, other suggestions, get together with the coach and the DOC, and those things can then be worked out and added. We do ask, though, if something gets added to let me know. That way we can help you with registrations, dates for deadlines and things like that. Okay. A couple other just small things to note here about the calendar. When you put in events, I'm just going to go ahead and add a new game, and I will remove it later. Obviously, if an opponent isn't listed here, you can certainly add them. You'll always have to choose a contact. Again, if the contact or the location isn't in here, you can add new. And then you've got home and away, what color uniforms to wear, etc. And then always make sure that track availability is going to be on. I typically don't check the notify your team, simply because if you even make one small addition, like adding a note or adding a different arrival time, it's always going to send an email, and they can see this information just straight online in the calendar. There's no need to always have that email. Once this game happens, after that point, you will be able to input a score also, because I know everybody, all the kids like to see all those wins versus losses racked up on that main screen. So that's a very easy way to input this information. Also, events, as those get added, you're actually also able to do a repeat. So if you know that you have practice every Wednesday for the next 4 weeks, it's really simple to put that data in here. Additionally, TeamSnap does have a good help and support system to be able to look up how to do some of those things as well. So, and one last thing, I've always shown everybody there's a subscribe and export to this as well, because everybody tends to have their own family calendars, etc. So you can go ahead and just export or subscribe to an iCal and etc. out of here. The thing to remember is that next year you're still going to be tied in your phone, at least, to this same TeamSnap calendar. So if your player doesn't play anymore, or if you move from 10 Boys White to 10 Boys Red 2, you're still going to be seeing the old calendar. So if anybody asks you or indicates that they've got old things showing up, they simply need to unsubscribe from their application. Okay. Let's see. There was an area when I showed you how we created that new event that indicated to show tracking. And this is important for our coaching staff specifically. That tracking then is here in availability, which you want to make sure that your families are filling out regularly. This allows the coaches to know how many players that they're going to have at practice, at a game, at an event. Number one, for practices, then they know, if I only have 5 kids tonight because there's a band event going on at the middle school, then they know that they can restructure practice or join in with another team. If they only have 10 players for a game situation for one of those 11v11 teams, they know that they need to try to get some guest players for that event or for that game. So this is important. For that, you also have the ability to indicate kind of a why. So you can note maybe Titus has a wedding to attend. Or, my sister has a band concert that I have to go to. Specific information can be communicated here directly to those coaches. Now, if your coaches say, I want to know via a text, that's fine, but you can also note information here as well. The tracking module area, I typically only see treasurers utilizing this. Sometimes managers do for this as well for, does everybody have their uniform kits? Or some managers for the older teams might use it for tracking some expenses type of thing or payments. Invoices, statistics, and assignments, we typically do not use at all. Media is the area where I'm going to be communicating files to you. Everybody should already have set up a manager documents folder. This folder, as you see, shows is locked. That way, only the people who are listed on your roster with manager status, and that's that little kind of megaphone right there, are able to access a locked folder. These folders then will have copies of your player cards, copies of your roster. We'll have a copy of the medical release files as well. Christina is also communicating treasure information here. And then last but not least, we have kind of a specific, here's how to print your player cards. So as those of you who are returning know, the player cards and the rosters, all those specifically come out of DotSport, but with it being a new program, we are going to try to limit your interactions that you have to do within that new program. Christina and I, honestly, as well as Indiana Soccer, are still kind of trying to learn our way around that as well. So we would really want to try to make sure that things for you aren't, as hard. So we're going to try to take the reins there and try to provide anything really necessary that you need out of there and make sure that it's here in TeamSnap. If your cards and rosters get updated through the year, if you have a new player, if you have a player that's removed, you will get a new file out here, and then I will send you a message that you have a new file. So I'm just going to kind of show everybody kind of what those look like. Maybe. So here's your player card file as it comes to you. It's a PDF. The instructions will tell you this needs to be printed in color. It needs to be on cardstock. And then these cards will need to be laminated as well for them to be valid for use. I would suggest that you take the card file, if you don't have access to those options, to someplace like Office Max or the FedEx store, and have those produced for you, and that cost can be put into your team budget. Or if there is a last minute need, always make sure to go ahead and either call me or email me, and I can help make sure that new additions or things get taken care of for you by producing them kind of here in-house. Okay. When you go to print these, I know a lot of people just go ahead and print it off and then laminate it and then cut it up. But I will tell you that if that card then that are cut up at these lines, after being laminated, get in water, then the paper will kind of melt upon itself in the laminated card. So you really want to cut them first and then laminate them each and then cut them back out individually. Just a heads up there. And TeamSnap closed down on me. Just a second. I always forget that when you open those up, you have to hit back. That was in 10 volts. The other thing that I mentioned that's in here as well for me is going to be the roster. So that is a official roster from Indiana Soccer with your players on it. That's going to be needed specifically for you CNC teams, that Central North Conference U8 through U10s. Really, Central North Conference will take those rosters for game day. You don't necessarily have to have a game day match card like the ISL teams have. The CNC teams will utilize simply just a roster. That is the roster that you would use for game days. Unlike years previous, where we have to ask each family to fill out a medical release form and turn them into the managers, the new GOT Sports system actually puts those kind of together for us now. And a file with those, this PDF contains every single person on that roster that's already been registered. One of those files will be put into everybody's manager documents by the end of next week. So we're still going through each of the teams, but I wanted to let you know that those will be there for you. You don't need to request those from families. You don't need to request them from us. We will automatically go ahead and make sure that they are in everyone's manager documents folders. And I will show you those here in just a second. Let's see if we can bring those up. Yeah, so you can see that everything for this PDF contains a page for each of those players. And it does have the signed information. So you can specifically go ahead and use those for your team check-ins for events. Okay. And just a note, kind of as you fumble around here in the media tab, there are 3 different areas to media. There's files, which is where that manager documents folder will be, videos and photos as well. So if your families want to use photos, videos to relay some things and put things out to share, that's fine. Just note that if you're out here and don't see that manager documents folder, make sure that you're sitting there at files. If you need to also share information documents with your families, this is also, that kind of best place to put it. You can create a new folder, and then say you want to put a field map up for an event, you can make an event folder, and then you can add files straight from there. Okay. Messages is your next area module, and you'll be specifically using this one quite a bit. And that's the communication area for your team. It's a really simple messaging area, just a usual subject line, text body, and then you have your player participants. You can either select all, select just a few that you need to message, your non-players, all the different managers, coaches, etc. are listed there. And then you can attach files as well. So if you want to send an email out to everybody, again, that has a field map layout for an event you're in, you can add that file here. I will let you know too that this is one of the areas where if you're having a communication lapse with somebody, you can double check here that they are set to receive email messages. As you might know from looking at your own players' information, that I'm going to go into Charlie's here. This little check mark is kind of important. So if that check mark is not there, when you're sending an email message and you're looking at that list of players, Charlie's name will appear and say, not receiving emails. At that time, you can then discuss with the family kind of a separate way, call them, see them at the fields, etc. Let them know that they need to make sure that that check mark is on. That will also take effect too in the next area I'm going to show you there in messaging, which is kind of text alerts. So Jordan here does not have the team alerts via SMS on, meaning that if you try to send a text message, that it's not then going to come through. Let's go back to messages. Again, emails is kind of that simple area. Alerts are used. So if you need to tell everybody while you're at an event that it is now in a rain delay and you're waiting for an hour, or if a field gets moved, something of that effect, something that's more time sensitive, you're going to send an alert, simple text here, and then you can select your players. Now you'll notice then Titus here, the recipient will receive an alert via an email because they don't have that SMS text on, and there's specific information again. Remember, we were in Charlie's profile. They won't receive it via a text. It'll go via an email because that check mark is not on. Okay. Chat, again, kind of a simple kind of team chat feature that is used specifically within the mobile app. And then posts, again, kind of just like a message board, just kind of all your usual social media type of things. Preferences, there are a few preferences that you can set here. A lot of the preferences and settings are set at our club level. And then the manager area. Again, there's nothing really to change here except if you want to add a team photo that shows at that front page. Everything else, site preferences and stuff, are really set at the upper team level. I'm going to go ahead, and there's probably a few questions on TeamSnap. We'll get back to those at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and show you some of our various websites that we use. And can I still get a thumbs up, everybody? We're changing over to the Indiana Fire Juniors website. Yes. This, as well as providing a lot of information for the club in general, we do have a resources area for teams and parents. And this information out here, there's some pretty just kind of straightforward instructions on how to upload things, how to find things. And then for teams, in the teams area, we do have a lot of instructional things for managers and treasurers. We're updating that team handbook. That should be done within the next week or so. And that will be uploaded out here. How to find things in TeamSnap, how to use virtual passes, submitting support tickets. A lot of the things that I'm going over today are also going to be out here. Christina will typically go ahead and put some of the sample budgets and forms, bank account things out here as well, and we'll make sure that those are all updated for the upcoming season. Links to referee fees and league information. The loaner request kit, which I'm going to go ahead and touch on right now as well. Especially with the younger age groups and the new players. We know that a lot of these kids, unfortunately, aren't going to get their kits in before the friendlies that are going to occur in like a week and a half. the coaches know that, the DOCs know that. A lot of times they'll go ahead and say, just wear something that's similar to what we're doing. So if they don't have their white jersey in, go ahead and just wear a white t-shirt. We do, however, have this loaner request kit, and I do have a few loaners that we can pass out. But for those first few weekends, the coaches know that some of the kids who are new and having to order, especially since soccer.com is taking so long to get those orders out right now, we know that not everybody is going to have something, and that's fine. I know the kids want to be in their kits, and we'll try to help as many as we can, but it's simply okay if they don't have it all. There's some instructions on some other things that need to be done for ISL leagues. Those are for those U11 and up players. And then there's some instructions also on, soccer.com and navigating around there as well, or changing your payment method in .sport is there too. So again, some of the things that we go over here, if things, if you're not remembering, we do have these resources out here. So always check that handbook first, and then check here to see if there are any resources to help you kind of navigate. But I will go ahead and say this as well. I don't want you spending a half an hour trying to figure out how to do that support ticket if something's not working in those steps that the resources are giving you. Give me a call, send me an email, let me know, because I don't want this to be, a third job for some of you, or a, second job where you're having to spend way too much time trying to figure out what would typically be a simple task. So we appreciate the time that you guys spend. I don't want it to be frustrating for you. Okay. Besides our website, there's also the Indiana Soccer website, and that is soccerindiana.org. Switch back to their just main page and show you a little bit of a navigation around here. So again, teams that are U13 plus are going to be in the league that's Indiana Soccer League, or ISL. The information on the division, the information on ref fees, start end dates, payments, etc., those are all contained out here. They also have a great resource of webinars and documents as well. So again, some of those things that we put out on our website are here: how to club pass, how to print game cards, all those types of things. There's a great resource here also. This site also has a good information on, who plays 4v4, who plays 7v7, who plays 9v9. So if you'd like some of that information, what ages can head the ball and what ages can't, this is a very good resource area, as well as giving information on locations of other teams. So if you don't know where Junior Irish is located, you can come out to Indiana Soccer, and there is an area. Oh, find a club. It was right up there at the top. And you can simply find the information for clubs in the area. And then you can control that map just like you would any older map, and it's going to show you some details about that club, and you can go to that club's main website, which is what we're going to look at now, going to another club's website specifically for an event. So most of the teams that would be on this call, from the information that was provided from your DOC, a lot of teams are going to attend Indy Premier's Halloween Classic. Some of the teams are going to attend South Central Soccer Academy's Nightmare at the Rock. So we're going to take a look at both of those clubs. So as I had mentioned in the previous email, we are going to go ahead and register for those events for you, but we are going to ask that managers go ahead and do the check-in process for those. As long as the check-in is in the new system, we're going to go ahead and have you guys do that. Now, our event, Grand Park Cup, here in a couple of weeks, is going to be utilizing the old system of Dot Soccer. So we're going to go ahead and do all those check-ins for our own club. So you guys won't have to worry about that. But as you would go check in for a event, you're going to go to the event organizer's website and find the event listed. So here's Halloween Classic. And registration basically means, hey, this team is going to come to this event and we're going to pay that. And a check-in means that you're going to provide all the detailed documents that the event needs for your team, which is typically going to be those items that are listed in your TeamSnap Manager Documents folder. The player cards, the medical release files, as well as the roster. Then each event is also going to ask for possibly other things, maybe a contact sheet, things like that. That's where you'll come to the event and then you'll click on Team Check-in. Now, obviously, this event isn't until late October, so they don't have their link available yet, but this is where you'd see what it is that you would need to provide them. And most of the time, they're going to provide you a step-by-step instruction as well as what to do. All their other information regarding the event is going to be here as well. Let's take a look at South Central. So SCSA's Nightmare at the Rock that some of the teams are going to be at as well. Here again, online check-in information. I believe this is probably an old file. It is. But again, look, they're going to just provide you all the step-by-step of what we need and how you need to provide it and by when you need to provide it. So that's the steps on how to do a team check-in for an event. Okay. I'm going to show you a quick look at Dot Sport. Again, kind of want to make sure that you guys aren't having to go in here too much, simply because it's that new system. But teams who are in the ISL, or the Indiana State Soccer League, U11 and up, do have to go in here for their match day game cards. So in doing that, and again, we'll have instructions on doing so that are up online, but you are going to take a look at your team. I have quite a few here underneath. And you're going to look at matches. So this is your main login at Dot Sport. I'm just going to look at one team here. So you're seeing the list right now of what this team's league schedule looks like. And the league's not finished yet, so that's why there are only 3. And then here on these 3 dots is print match card. You're going to want it in the photo type and then simply export it. And then from here, you will print this. Now, this is, again, a game card that you are going to print preferably 12 to 24 hours before the game. And again, I'm still just talking U11, U12, and up for these. The CNC will not require you to have these. You'll simply use a roster. And then this printout is what those teams utilizing them will take to their game. Most of the time, ISL would prefer that you take 3 copies of them, one for you, one for your opponent, and then one for the referees as well. Very, very important that any player who is intended on playing this game, so this is game number 1435 against the Boilers, the player name and information must appear typed here. So if for some reason little Johnny's going to guest play and you've cleared that with the coach and the coach has him there, his name has to be on here. Now the coaches and the DOCs will take care of doing all that club passing and player passing and such, but you need to verify that that name information is here on that match card or you will not be able to play. If for some reason you print this off and it's not there, say this game is at 3 o'clock and you printed it at noon and it's not there, go ahead and you can give me a call or an email and I can make sure that that information gets there for you. You can also just show it on your phone. The referees will take that, but it does need to be electronically generated on here for the players to be able to play. The other area of note is going to be doing a support ticket to Indiana Soccer. So if that game at 3 o'clock against the Boilers is rained out and Indiana Soccer has told you that it's been canceled, and so you and the other manager from the other team get together the next week and find a new date, you then are going to go ahead and submit a support ticket. So at your dashboard, the forms area, you are going to go to available forms and go to Indiana Team Support Tickets. And your screen should probably only have you. I have quite a few things going on here. But you're just going to actually select yourself because you are the one submitting the support ticket. And save. And then you're going to indicate, again, it will probably just have one option for you. And then you simply write in what your support inquiry is. If you're doing something for a specific game, please list both teams involved as well as the game number, and then what the change is, what the issue is, etc. And then save, and that will go directly to Indiana Soccer for them to address with you. Okay. All right, so those are my general things. Christina, are you ready to take over for your area, or do we want to address a few questions beforehand?
I think I've answered everything on the chat so far on your session, with the exception of the last one that just came in. Our team manager responsible for rescheduling games? And the answer to that is yes. If there's a game that is canceled because it has been rained out, the team manager needs to get on the ISL schedule and look up the contact for their opponent that the game was canceled for, and then that was what Lisa just covered as far as contact manager work at it, alternate date, and then put in support on what you and the opponent. Other than that, I don't have anything that needs to be addressed.
And those reschedulings, like Christina indicated, the reschedulings are really for those ISL teams. So the U8s through U10s who are in CNC, those group play dates are, it's massive. It's for everybody. It's for all teams in those age groups for all of the CNC league. Typically, if those get rained out, a lot of times they do not get rescheduled. But sometimes the CNC will reschedule those themselves.
Okay. So I'm going to move
and everybody
on.
Who's having to run to other parent meetings and school meetings, thank you. But I think we're going to go ahead and switch over to Christina for her treasure information. Let me make sure that. She can
All
share.
right, so I am going to start the treasurer session for those that are on here that are with a treasurer. And